Know-it-all leftist anti-gunners have been hell-bent on banning firearms for God knows how long, making it sound like today's guns are all so advanced they'd blow your grandfather's M1 Garand out of the water. But you know how leftists can be really dumb when it comes to guns. If you happen to get into a debate with one, you can tell him or her that no matter how seemingly advanced the newest firearms of today have become, they are all still using ancient technology called gunpowder, which first came about sometime in 900 AD, or over 1,100 years ago. As far as firearms technology, the use of gunpowder as a propellant for metallic projectiles makes even the most advanced firearms of today look primitive compared to modern computers, which are orders of magnitude more technologically advanced than the difference engine. It's anybody's guess when we'll stop using gunpowder as a propellant for projectiles. There are guns currently being developed that suggest we may see advancements in civilian firearms in the not-so-distant future. But these are highly impractical and nowhere near as powerful as the firearms of today. In this video, I'll talk about what, in my opinion, are the top 5 guns of the future. If you like these kinds of videos, please like, share, and subscribe so I can make more of them. Number 5. The phaser rifle. The personnel halting and stimulation response rifle, or phaser for short, looks and sounds like one of the phaser weapons straight out of Star Trek. But unlike the phaser from Star Trek, which has more than a few lethal and non-lethal settings, the real-life phaser is supposedly limited to being a non-lethal weapon. The phaser presumably belongs to a category of laser-powered weapons called dazzlers, designed to temporarily blind targets with the goal of disorienting and immobilizing them, mitigating their effectiveness in armed combat. But whether the phaser's blinding effect is temporary or permanent is anybody's guess at the moment. The Department of Defense asserts that there are more than a few scenarios wherein the phaser would be the best non-lethal option for neutralizing an armed threat, but to date, specific details on how the laser weapon works are unavailable. In the past, blinding laser weapons have been tested on the battlefield, but the UN banned all of them under the 1995 Protocol on Blinding Laser Weapons. The decision to ban blinding laser weapons came about due to the more than 4,000 documented cases of Iranian soldiers suffering eye injuries during the Iran-Iraq War. The injuries were diagnosed as either retinal burns or hemorrhages, allegedly inflicted by tank-mounted laser rangefinders and other laser weapon types fired in anti-personnel mode to blind targets on purpose. The phaser reportedly uses a 2-wavelength low-intensity laser that will not result in permanent blindness, so the UN's 1995 blinding laser weapons ban shouldn't apply to it. With the almost non-existent technical info available online, no one knows. While it really shouldn't interest us as civilians, because the phaser is a military weapon, it made its way to this top 5 video because 1, it looks cool, and 2, I've always had a thing for laser guns. Number 4. The PD-90E shotgun. The word shotgun in the E shotgun is a misnomer, because even though it has a burst mode that lets it fire 5 shots in rapid succession, the E shotgun is not a shotgun. What it is a coil gun that on the surface looks more like a toy gun because of its plastic frame. The E shotgun is being touted as a non-lethal projectile weapon capable of deterring an unarmed bad guy from breaking into your home. But it's really only useful if you don't have anything more suitable for such a purpose. To give a sense of just how much of a ballistic advantage the 22 long rifle has over the E shotgun, a 29 grain Federal punch bullet has an advertised velocity of 1,070 feet per second out of a 2-inch revolver barrel, which gives it a muzzle energy of around 74 foot-pounds of force. The E shotgun's much heavier 275 grain coil accelerator disc can be fired with a velocity of up to 145 feet per second, giving it a muzzle energy of only around 13 foot-pounds of force. That's a difference in projectile kinetic energy of over 500% favoring the 22 long rifle. Simply put, a 29 grain 22 long rifle bullet out of a 2-inch snub nose is over 6 times more powerful than a single shot from this e-shotgun. Let's say a bad guy breaks into your home, and you're able to hit him in the face with at least 20 of the e-shotgun's projectiles within 6 to 10 yards. You can either blind him, bust his nose, or knock out a couple of his teeth. Theoretically, the e-shotgun can work as a deterrent, but only theoretically. All that said, in case you'd like to know how much it costs, you can go to northshoresportsclub.com, where they sell the e-shotgun for $1,600. It comes with a charger, a single 50-round mag, and 100 rounds of ammo. Number 3, the corner shot. Strictly speaking, the corner shot is just an accessory, not a gun, so it technically shouldn't be on this list. But it's an adaptive mount that, when fitted with a firearm, becomes a weapon system that allows the operator to take out a bad guy accurately over obstacles, into enclosed spaces, and around corners without being exposed to return fire. The corner shot's hinging lever lets the operator swivel the weapon system in either direction and return to its default configuration quickly. The front half of the system that houses a swiveling weapon mount has a high-resolution multispectral camera with interchangeable 6mm, 12mm, and 16mm modules, and also allows for additional flashlight and infrared laser attachments. The rear half of the system has a flip-out camcorder-style video monitor, which features a rugged sighting crosshair. The rear half also houses the operating controls and the trigger. The high-resolution multispectral lens and the camcorder-style monitor allow the operator to aim and accurately shoot targets around corners in real time. The corner shot has 3 available variants. The first one is the CS 9mm, which accepts a number of different pistols like Glock models 17, 19, 22, and 23, Sig Sauer models P226, P228, and P229. The second variant is the CS 40mm, which is custom built for mounting an M203 grenade launcher, while the third variant, the CS 556, is custom built for mounting an AR-15 pistol. There are currently no CS 40mm and CS 556 in circulation, while there are a couple of firearms accessory websites that are selling used CS 9mm for around $5,000 a piece. That price seems exorbitant, but for its intended purpose of protecting you in a gunfight, not to mention it would make any boring pistol look cool, I'd say it's worth every dollar. Number 2. The Arc Flash Labs GR1 Anvil. The GR1 Anvil from Arc Flash Labs is described as an 8-stage, semi-automatic, high-voltage Gauss rifle. If you didn't know, a Gauss rifle is the same as a coil gun. A coil gun uses the electromagnetic forces that are generated within the barrel when a ferromagnetic projectile is subjected to a magnetic field. The speed at which projectiles can be accelerated depends on the number of magnetic acceleration stages in the setup and the projectile's starting velocity as it approaches the first stage. In general, the more stages are set up in a coil gun, the faster the projectile can be accelerated and the more kinetic energy it will have. But there are diminishing returns, so a coil gun can't have too many stages. The GR1 Anvil is being marketed as the most powerful coil gun ever sold to civilians, and to date is probably the most powerful handheld coil gun ever built by anyone. It's capable of pushing a 50 caliber ferromagnetic projectile to velocities reaching 200 feet per second. Depending on the weight of projectile, the GR1 Anvil will generate a maximum of 75 foot-pounds of force at the muzzle when fired in semi-auto mode. This makes it about as potent as a snub-nose revolver and 22 long rifle, but there's a catch. Its capacitor charging system has to be charged for at least 3 seconds before it can be fired. This means that the GR1 Anvil is about as slow as a crossbow. So, should you buy one? It depends on 2 things. 1, how badly you want one, and 2, whether you can even find one being sold. As of this writing, the GR1 Anvil can only be purchased from the manufacturer's website, arcflashlabs.com, and they're all out of stock. At $4,000, the coil gun comes with a battery pack, a charger, and a hard carrying case. Magazines only have a 10-round capacity and are selling for $54.99 a piece. And as for the ammo, the GR1 Anvil can use 12x32mm steel dowel pins that can be purchased for about 50 cents a piece from your local hardware store. To say that the whole setup is prohibitively priced is a gross understatement, but the Arc Flash Lab staff seem to be nice people. And we're talking about the future here. So maybe spending around $5,000 for the whole setup isn't so bad, if you have $5,000 to spare. Number 1. The ShadowTrax 6. And lastly, we get to my top 1 gun of the future, the ShadowTrax 6. On the surface, it doesn't look anywhere near as futuristic as the other 4 guns I've talked about so far, but what it lacks in the sci-fi looks department, it more than makes up for in purpose. In a nutshell, the ShadowTrax 6 is a smart rifle, a long-range, precision-guided weapon system designed to achieve pinpoint accuracy regardless of shooter experience. To achieve this, Talon Precision Optics combined Tracking Point's advanced rifle scope with their proprietary rapid lock target elimination system and fire control. Built on Tracking Point's next-generation bolt-action rifle platform, the ShadowTrax 6 has a proprietary chassis that houses an accurized Remington 700 action, a 24-inch stainless steel barrel, and the aforementioned rapid lock trigger, which ensures unmatched accuracy by working with the rifle scope to acquire, track, and lock on the target. The Tracking Point rifle scope is capable of automatic elevation and windage corrections by monitoring temperature, wind, humidity, range, altitude, and barrel count. It allows an image-stabilized target lock with a range of up to 1,000 yards and a lock time of 1 second. In the hands of a novice shooter, the ShadowTrax 6 is capable of half-inch groups at 1,000 yards, which is why this gun made it to the top of my list. But there's no free lunch. The level of accuracy the ShadowTrax 6 is capable of comes at a high price. If you head on over to the manufacturer's website, talonprecisionoptics.com, ShadowTrax 6, chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor, is selling for a whopping $9,995. The package includes the precision-built rifle, the Tracking Point scope, batteries and charger, a 10-round magazine, a Harris bipod, a box of Hornady ELD-X 143 grain hunt ammo, and a box of Hornady ELD-M 147 grain match ammo. Considering everything that's in the package, the price seems justifiable. But we all have to agree that a $10,000 rifle isn't going to appeal to most of us. And that's it for my top 5 guns of the future. If there were other guns you believe I should have included in the video, feel free to let me know by commenting down below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and click on that little bell icon so you don't miss out on any new content. And as always, thanks for watching.